What is up, guys? Welcome back to Steps to Survival. So if you're like me right now, you're probably really missing your friends and starting to get super bored during this quarantine. But physical distancing does not mean social distancing. And it's still really important to maintain your friendships and connections by spending time and having fun with your friends. But how do you have fun with your friends if you can't actually be with them? You've probably heard of Zoom, which is the most popular video calling app right now that's used for a ton of different things, but it can get super tiring and it doesn't seem like there's actually that much you can do with your friends on Zoom. But there actually are a ton of things that you can do on Zoom with your friends that are super fun, so in this video I'm going to be sharing 8 different ideas and resources of things that you can do with your friends on Zoom to maintain that social connection, have fun with your friends during this time of isolation. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. Okay, so the first resource that you can use to have fun with your friends is Kahoot. Now if you haven't heard of Kahoot, Kahoot is basically a fun trivia type game that is used usually for education, and there are tons of different quizzes online in Kahoot that you can use. Basically, you're all asked different various questions, and it's whoever answers the questions correctly and whoever answers them as quickly as possible who ends up winning the game. And you can choose from tons of different topics, and it's super fun if you like trivia with your friends. The way you would do this on Zoom is one person would bring up the Kahoot and share their screen with everyone else, and then everyone has to have another device, like say a phone, or they can have the Kahoot shared screen on one side and then Kahoot on their computer on the other side. Anyway, and then that'll give them the opportunity to click the answer they think is correct. So Kahoot is a lot of fun, and it's good for education, but also just for having fun. You can find something like Harry Potter trivia or Star Wars trivia or something else like that that's super fun to do with your friends. These next 2 resources are for anyone who is a fan of whodunit games and games where you have to read people and figure out who did a certain thing. Then these 2 games are for you, and they are Spyfall and Mafie. You may have heard of them, you may have not, but they work really well for Zoom. I'll put links in the description box below for where you can do it online. Basically, you'll have your Zoom call on a computer, laptop, or iPad, and then on your phone you'll have the Spyfall or the Mafie, which will show you who you are and your role and such. So I'm not going to go into the rules of those games. A lot of people already know them, but if you want to know more, you can look it up or use the links that I put here. But they're super fun games that you can play on Zoom with your friends, and it works really well, and you'll have a ton of fun. Another game that works really well on Zoom and that is super fun is a version of Pictionary. If you know Pictionary, that is where you have to draw a word and draw whatever that word is, and then people have to guess that word. So this game is called Scribble.io. You can find it online. I'll put the link in the description below. Basically, you can all join a Zoom and just to talk with each other and such, but the actual game, you make a room for you guys, a private room. There can be up to 8 players, and the goal of the game is to correctly guess what the person is drawing as soon as possible. So each person goes drawing a certain word that they're given, and then everyone else in the chat is trying to guess what that word is that they're drawing. Whoever guesses it first gets the most points, and by the end of the game you want to have the most points to win the game. So if you're a fan of art and drawing and guessing, then that is a really fun game that's super cool to do on Zoom. Another thing that you can do on Zoom, something people often overlook, is basically any table game that you like to play is probably online, and you can do it with your friends on Zoom. I can already think of a few. There's Uno online that you can play with your friends. There is Rummikub if you've played that game. Probably every game you have in your living room that you play with your friends, you can get online and you can play on Zoom while talking to them, so it would be a lot of fun to do that. So just think of a game you always play with your friends when they come over and just look it up online. It's probably there. Download it or somehow get it, however that works, and play it on Zoom. Super fun. Games like Uno and Rummy Cube, really easy to learn and play, and you can do it with your friends on Zoom. So the next two things that you can do with your friends over quarantine, they aren't on Zoom, but they're just also things you can do that you don't have to be with each other to do. And the first one is to have a Netflix party, which is basically if you have Netflix and someone else has Netflix, you can watch the same show or movie together, and there's a chat and you can discuss it while you're watching it, and that just makes you feel connected like you're watching it with your friends. And that's super fun to do, especially in the evenings when you want to sit down, relax, watch a show, but you still want to have some social interaction with your friends. Another thing is just video games in general, especially multiplayer ones that are online, are really great to do with your friends. So if you and your friends enjoy video games, or even if you've never played video games before, just look up some different games you want to try to play on PC, PlayStation, anything, and then you can use Stream or Zoom or something else to play those video games with your friends. And that's a way to basically create a virtual world that you can enjoy spending time with your friends and have competitions and do things like that. So maybe you're not really into all of these online games, and you want to do something that doesn't require you to use more tech than just Zoom. So there are 3 ideas for you people who want that sort of thing. The first one is there's a really fun game you can play on Zoom. It's not something that you'd want to do multiple times, kind of a one-time thing, doesn't take up a lot of time, but basically the game is you have a list of items that the leader of the game has this list, and they will shout out a certain item, maybe like a hammer. And then everyone else on the Zoom call has to go and retrieve that item from wherever it is in their house or apartment. So it's like a scavenger hunt, and whoever retrieves that item first and brings it to their camera, they win that round of the game. So this is a fun game if you want a little bit of a more active game for everyone, where you can be active but still be with your friends and have fun, although it won't last very long. You probably don't want to do more than 10 items for sure. It'll get tiring, but that's a pretty fun game. Another game that you can do on Zoom is Charades. It would work perfectly well on Zoom. I'm sure you can find some kind of online charades that can help you choose words, but there's also just the classic crocodile charades, which is basically one person comes up with a word for someone else. You can write that personally in the chat to them. They have to act it out. Whoever guesses that word that they were acting out, they now have to act out, and the person who is just acting out has to come up with a word for them to act out. So it goes like that, and it's really easy. You don't need anything except for Zoom or any other video calling app. Now, of course, it's obvious, but another thing is just talking on Zoom, and that's one of the biggest things you can do with your friends, is just to talk with them. Online, you can find tons of different questions that you can ask to your friends. I'm sure even if you're in person, you need to talk. So talking is something that you do anyway, and that's something fun to do on Zoom. If you get bored with just talking, something that I think is really fun, especially if you're younger or you're maybe a teacher with younger kids, is kids often really want to show things that they have, so you can do like a show and tell. But even adults, it might be interesting to ask questions like, what is an item that is significant to you on your desk right now or something, and then they show it and explain it. That's a pretty good question. So these type of show and tell games are really fun because everyone's going to be at home. They're going to have all of the items that are important, significant to them. And so it's interesting. Maybe if you all have pets, you can show your pets. That's another fun way to spend time with your friends on Zoom. Well guys, I hope these ideas were helpful, and I hope that you use them and set up a Zoom with your friends. Don't lose this opportunity, because you have the chance to spend a lot of quality time with your friends, even though you have to be physically apart right now. So make use of this opportunity, be a leader, initiate something with your friends, and have some fun. Let me know if there's any other ideas that you have to do on Zoom. Put them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in another video.